welcome to today's episode of T-SARP. Our special guests are Sam, Stephen, and Miss Thompson.
I have milk.
I have carrot soup.
I just had my apple.
Wow, there's the lunch report. So, if you don't know, because you're not from Hauppauge, but I hope you are, Miss Thompson is 1 out of 4 now of the coding teachers here at Hauppauge. And we're going to be seeing what it's like to teach coding. So, what subjects do you teach besides coding?
I teach social studies, grade 6.
Cool. So, how do you go about teaching? Do you like to let the students work more on their own or having more structured lessons?
I like a combination of both. I think that kids like to have good direction and know their expectations. And then I like them to have work time where they can explore and learn on their own.
How do you're also a hackathon coach here at Hauppauge too.
Yes.
Do you, without giving away any strategy, how do you like to coach the students?
So, believe it or not, I learned so much from the students. So if there's a topic that I need to know, I go to you guys and say, hey, how can you go about making a program that follows these behaviors? And I think pairing the kids up in groups is a great way for them to learn from each other. But you have to be careful because you need kids that are good at explaining information and demonstrating. And sometimes you could be a great coder, but not
A good teacher.
Right, not so good at explaining. And I tell the kids in class, it's good to have group work, but not if you're doing the coding for the person next to you. You want to explain it and show it in a way that the other person is thinking and understanding it. So my strategy is really use the kids. Organize it so they know what the game is about. I always talk about reading challenges because that's where I find most kids struggle. They don't want to read what is required of them, and they go right to the exciting part on creating, and then they miss some of the components of the actual challenge description. Yeah, it happens to a lot of people, and that's what I find so awesome about coding is that it really teaches you that you have to read. Most of the information is right in front of you. You just have to take the time to go through the descriptions.
So, if you don't know, we won the past 2 years in the 6th grade hackathon.
Amazing.
Yeah. So,
we got to go for the trifecta this year, right?
You spend a lot of time with the 6th graders as you teach them.
Yes.
How do you feel they're doing this year compared to last?
I think they are doing amazing. I think that the 6th graders are highly motivated. They are really looking forward to the new topics every day. They love starting off with Sprite Editor. It's very artistic. It's fun to do animations. And then we gradually get into the hatch. And they love to put the blocks together and see what they can create. They are really, really interested in seeing what the person next to them is doing. And then that kind of catches fire. And they're like, wow, that person did this. Did you see this? I want to do this. And then they try to mimic those behaviors.
Yeah.
Arson.
You love what?
Arson.
Interesting.
Okay.
All right then.
All right then. So,
Nice.
I also think they're interested in going to coding club. I feel like there's a lot of motivation here. And what's nice about it is that you get experience when you're in elementary school, but in middle school, you come and you have it every day as a 6th grader.
That's really nice.
So it's consistent.
So you were talking about Sprite Editor and how the students love to do Sprite Editor at the beginning. Every year we have someone to do Sprite Editor on the hackathon team because it's a big part of it. Do you think that they're very strong in Sprite Editor and in Hatch, or are they mostly leaning towards one?
So I feel that when a kid is super good at Sprite Editor, they lean towards Sprite Editor because they spend a lot of time making their projects.
Yeah.
Right? And they can be proficient enough to get by in Hatch. But when you find that passion that you really like, that's what you spend your time on.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're loving Python, you're sitting there trying to learn everything you can about Python. solving challenges, making your way through the pathway, as you know. Not even you're through the 8th grade pathway, you're not even in 8th grade yet.
Yeah.
Right? But like you take, for instance, someone that is just so happy to be on Sprite Editor, that's what they spend their time doing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I am seeing some very good people with Sprite Editor on Classroom and on the Sprite Editor app.
Yeah.
I'm really excited.
Do you guys agree though? Like,
I do.
if you are like huge into Sprite Editor, that's what you're spending your time on.
Yeah.
If you're huge into hacks, that's what you're spending your time on.
Me, yes.
Yeah, during the code clash, I saw a lot of kids very good at Sprite Editor.
Mhm.
And something that I didn't know that they knew, that we knew already, and I wouldn't want, this is kind of something I'm giving away if you're not from Hauppauge, but if you make the pixels really small, you can make very detailed artwork.
That's what I always encourage them to do.
Also?
I say it's like, let's say you want to paint a little spot on the wall. You're not going to use a big roller brush. It's going to take forever, too hard. But when you get something a little smaller, you can hit that right spot.
Yeah, and actually in our own in brackets competition, the Lonely Larry of the patch, the image I'm going against.
Into make the final.
Yeah, it uses that technique of having very small pixels to have a very detailed image.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not 25 by 25, but like 100
Right.
by 100.
And I think starting off our 6th graders using Sprite Editor is the way to go.
Yeah,
It really catches them and gets them motivated and interested in the class.
especially since during the code crash, some people beat Phoebe. And I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Phoebe is a rock star.
Yeah, Phoebe is our, well, I guess not anymore if someone beat us, but one of our
junior.
best. Yeah,
And that
one
was
of
a
our
6th
best.
grader, right?
Yeah,
That
that was
beat her?
6th grader.
So that's perfect because then Phoebe still has 7th and 8th grade to be on. She's
Yeah.
done as a 6th
And then we
grader.
can have two
She'll be
Sprite
on-
Editors
right.
next year.
You can never have too many of those, you
No.
know?
I was talking to Sam about this yesterday, and he didn't notice. But one advantage we have in the junior or upper elementary is that we're all 6th graders. The other teams have mixed. Now I think they do focus on the 6th graders, but I'm like we have a little bit of an upper hand there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
I like that they have the upper elementary with our just 6th graders, and then we have a 7th and 8th grade.
yeah.
I think it's perfect. And it opens up for more team members for 6th grade. Because once you do 7th and 8th grade, now you can only have a certain number on the team, but it's 2 grade levels.
Yeah, like we grew very close with the 7th and 8th graders last year when we were 6th graders because we were always practicing together and they were giving us tips
Yeah.
and stuff. Now we're all on the team together.
Mhm.
Or, well, it's going to be tight because there's 16 members
Yep.
now that all want to be on, and there's only 8 slots. So.
Yeah. And you liked when the older kids came and kind of mentored you a little.
Yeah, that was really
And
fun.
I can tell because you guys do that to our 6th graders now.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
how you
I'm
come in,
old.
you kind of drum up some business,
Mhm.
get into the coding club, you look around, you survey to see who kind of has a knack for what, and then you help guide them a little bit.
Yeah, I came in early in the year and taught them all about the hackathon, made sure they knew, asked if anyone was.
The kids look forward
Interested.
for you to come in.
Yeah. And I walk in and everyone looks at me. I don't know if that's because they're excited to be here or
They're
they're
like,
like,
what can I ask
all
you
right,
to
yeah.
help me on?
yeah. I'm like, can you help me with this? Can you help me with this?
Yeah, that must be a good feeling for you.
Yeah. And it's always funny to see because simple things for me are like very complicated for them. And that's just funny because like, it's like last year I probably was the same way they are now, like not getting it, and it's just the improvement over the year.
Maybe in the very beginning, but I think you definitely, it was something you were interested in, and you spent the time looking at those course guides. You spent the time researching everything.
Yeah.
You
And,
know,
like,
anything to be done in Kiddoyo, you did.
Yeah, and I think that's what's really great about the 6th grade last year, and we're kind of seeing now too, is like we were making games just to make games. Basically, before we even knew about the hackathon, we were just doing them for fun. And I think they are too this year. We saw there's a cookie clicker game out there right now, which is the art is, okay, but the gameplay is great, and the
Yeah,
stuff that they're
I
working
was
on
really
now.
impressed with that.
Yeah.
So what do you think? How do you improve the artwork there?
I would say,
Someone else could do some
I would
artwork.
say they collaborate. Yeah.
Yeah, collaborate, right.
Yeah.
So that's cool because then you put the person's skills, like,
Say during the hackathon, like someone works on gameplay while someone else works on art for that project, so they can collaborate.
Yeah.
Make it like a really good project that will like hit everything else out of the park.
Yeah, because
The other way.
do you think that the team really matters when you're competing? Because if you're not collaborating with each other, you have a problem. So you need doers and you need leaders as well.
See,
That's one thing I noticed during the code clash was that some groups had good leadership, and then other groups, they had great kids in the group, but they were all working on the same project because they weren't communicating with each other.
purple team.
You need someone to take leadership and say, "Hey, you work on this, you build this, you work on this picture here, you know," and then you know that together you have a common goal.
Yeah, teamwork is a big thing in hackathons, and
Uh-huh.
something that I think would be cool if Kadoyo would do, or could do, is like having like multiple people like have access to one project, right, for the team. So like say Phoebe or anyone out there is doing artwork and I'm doing the gameplay, instead of me having to go and download their thing and put
You
it
can
in,
just look
they
at
can-
it from your
yeah.
computer.
and they can just boom, put it in.
So maybe like the team captain would have access to that.
Yeah. I was talking to Dev about this actually in dark mode like a little while ago, and he kind of thought that the idea was good, but he was afraid of like plagiarism and stuff like that.
But maybe they could do that just during a competition.
Yeah, like
They just-
only in the CCE.
Right, so it would save you from having to get up and walk around. You can just survey the people on your team and see what's going on.
Yeah, or even like some type of, now we're kind of getting into more complicated, but being able to see what everyone's working on, like screen share or something like that, like a Zoom. Actually, you could implement that on your team, like without dev. Like if you did like a Zoom or something and saw your whole team, that'd be cool.
That'd be really helpful.
It's a strategy.
Good
for
tips.
us.
Yeah, wait, are we going to like that school, like all in the school?
What's cool?
Like we're all like everyone
person.
in the
For the
in person,
hackathon?
instead of doing it
Yes.
digital?
I believe so.
Yeah. So this year,
We're going to host.
upper elementary.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be
That's fun.
interesting.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Yes.
I hope we can
Really
get to
exciting.
come or look at see it a little.
Yeah.
Or,
Very excited for both hackathons this year, even though
Yeah.
I will only be partaking in one.
They're definitely
yeah, or
exciting.
none.
Well, it was really fun to be able to have the code clash.
Yeah,
Maybe
that was
we
a lot
can
of fun.
organize something like that again too.
That's
Yeah,
I liked
I
all
was-
the grades together. That was like
I liked all the grades together, and
They
I
worked
liked
really well.
I liked the fact that it wasn't limited to a certain number of kids. If you wanted to be in it, you got to be in it.
Yeah, I think that was really cool. And I hope we are able to do another one of those next year, or maybe even a smaller version this year.
Well, I can tell you that all our administrators came and they loved what they saw.
Yeah.
They're very, very impressed with how it was set up and how you guys executed this and the engagement of students. They were really, really impressed. So I can tell you that they're looking to do more of that stuff.
Yeah. So I will open it up to anyone else that has questions.
I think we're good.
We got a tip from Steven.
Do not look at the sample project and recreate it. It did not go well.
It has to be your own work.
Yeah.
Right?
Make
I mean, by
original work.
recreate it, I mean like try to,
Copy.
like not exact, like try to get so you can pass it. But sometimes, but then I realized that the sample projects have the bare minimum of what it is.
Yeah, you can always start with what we call the MVP, the minimal
Yes.
viable product,
Yes.
but make that more detailed after. Build your project up so it can't be taken
So
over.
that's a good strategy that doing the code clash would really help the new sixth graders learn to do that.
Yeah.
Something else we can talk about during a coding club too, you know.
Yes, definitely.
Because you got to work fast, but you also have to be thorough.
Don't be a Steven.
Yeah. Well, thanks for watching or listening to this episode of TSARP with our guests. This has been a special one, and hopefully we can do one with Mr. Ferrara and the other teachers sometime too.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.